the seismic intensity is 6 plus, so there are buildings which can potentially collapse. If that's the case, of course, there's more aftershock possibility. So if you are now in a building, old building, which may not be necessarily strong versus any shake, it may be better to evacuate outside. But there's also a possibility of landslide. If you have smartphone or flashlight, bring them. The epicenter was the center of Abiru. The seismic intensity was 6.7 on a Japanese scale of 0 to 7. It was 3:08 a.m. in Hokkaido. There was a strong earthquake in Abiru. The seismic intensity was 6.7. 5 minus Chitose, 4 Sapporo, Tomakomai, etc.
では、社会部の金森記者に続けて話を聞きます。はい、その注意点の途中でしたが、改めて続けてください。
はい、そうですね。現在まだ日の出になっていないと。
Now, the situation in Hokkaido still dark. Don't force yourself to evacuate outside, but if you are in a building, old building, which may not be necessarily strong versus a shake, it may be better to evacuate outside. We are still experiencing aftershakes. Any building can collapse due to aftershakes. If you see a building, there may be also a possibility of building of landslides outside. There may be also a possibility of building when you're going landslides outside walls, or there may be also a possibility of building when you're going landslides outside a building. If the seismic intensity was 6, 5, or 4, your furniture may fall down. There may be broken glasses. You should wear slippers or socks, even if you are staying inside your house. Now, this is the housing damages on news on damages on houses. There are some damages on residentials. 4 houses are damaged. Police office is confirming the safety of the residents. And in Abiru, some streets are having cracks. Abira, where seismic intensity was 6. The building's glasses are broken and outages are taking place. Now, the city is confirming the citizens' safety. Now we are hearing from Professor Furumura, who is an expert on earthquake. The earthquake, the epicenter was at the depth of 40 kilometers, so it took place inside. But 40 kilometers is very deep. And this is an inland earthquake, and a lot of aftershocks taking place. Inland earthquake we experienced, and a lot of aftermath earthquake, aftershocks taking place. Get inland stronger earthquake we experienced, and a lot of the aftermath earthquake, aftershocks taking place. People get inland stronger earthquake. Careful. There is a lot of possibility aftermath stronger earthquake taking place, like we experienced with Kumamoto earthquake in 2016. The aftershock may be stronger than the first one. Remind yourself, it's still dark, but check your surrounding. And there's a possibility of stronger aftershocks. It may be difficult to decide whether it's safer inside or outside. And still, blackout is taking place. What people need to be careful for? Some buildings are weakened following the first shake, and when there's an aftershock, it can collapse, and blocks can fall off outside. So, although it's dark now, be careful of surroundings when you go outside. Professor Furumura of Tokyo University, thank you. The footage was taken right after 3 a.m. when a shake took place in Muroran in Hokkaido.
では続いて札幌市役所の危機管理対策部長中出明彦さんとつながっています。中出さん。
Going to hear from City Officer of Sapporo City.
中出さん。
はい。
お世話になります。NHK の佐藤と申します。
おはようございます。
大変な恐れ入ります。
はい、お世話になります。
その現在のその札
幌 Now we are hearing
の
from
どのようになっている
the
でしょうか。
person working for emergency center in Sapporo City office. Right now, we are ready to take actions. We established the emergency headquarters, and so far, any major damages, we are still collecting information. What we know for the time being is water supply and sewages. There's no major damages taking place for the time being. And according to the fire department, there were some reports. They're getting calls from wide areas, but so far no major fire taking place. That was what we heard from the fire department. Right after the earthquake, as you see, blackout took place, even in Sapporo. What is the situation, latest situation? So far, it's not recovering. Power is not coming yet. And on my way here from my home, there was traffic lights were off, and I think the situation is still continuing. So, talking about lifeline, water supply, sewages, no damage for the time being. What about gas? Gas. We checked, and so far, we are not confirming any major damage related to gas. So you're still continuing collecting information. Any message to your citizens?
一つ目の5強の地震以降もですね、やはり余震が続いてますので、
After shocks
続き
are taking place.
余震には
So
注意をしていただきたいとい
be
う
careful
ね、
of
はい。
after shocks, after quake.
大変な状況の中、本当にありがとうございました。
いいえ、はい。
どうぞ今後も十分お気をつけて行動なさってください。
ありがとうございます。
We were hearing from Sapporo City office.
So about the nuclear reactor at Tomari, according to the office, there is no outside supply coming to the Tomari nuclear reactor since it is offline at the moment, but there is the usage of the diesel reactor that is used for emergency, and there is no damage or irregularity as of moment. Tomari nuclear reactor in Tomari-mura, this is what we are showing now. There is a blackout so that there is no power being supplied, but the nuclear fuel is being cooled by the emergency power supply. There is no irregularity as of now to the critical machinery. So the seismic intensity was 4 in the central part of Sapporo. There has been major blackout, and at the major traffic centers there are policemen on call to regulate the traffic. But the intensity has been for about 4 seconds, and there were some plates that were broken. And according to a person working at a restaurant, a gradual shake, but then it became intense, and gas was stopped, and there was a blackout. So I asked at Sapporo. So there was such a big shake. I hadn't experienced such big shake. I was very afraid. For about 30 seconds, it continued for a rather long time. And I was at the 4th floor in the hotel. I was sleeping in the hotel, but I was very afraid, and I thought that I must go outside as soon as I can. There were vertical shakes, and all of a sudden there was a big shake that came, and I think it continued for about 30 seconds. Within Hokkaido, there has been a seismic intensity of 6+. And please be aware of strong shakes. On Twitter, Hokkaido Chitose, this is about a 4 a.m. footage that is here. So the seismic intensity is 6-, and there has been some buildings that were collapsing, and the tiles on the outside wall had fell, or the traffic lights came off. The blackout is still continuing. So there are cracks in the road, and even if you are familiar with the roads outside your home, please be aware, be careful. There has been much damage reported at 3:40 from Kyoto ward of Sapporo. Earthquake was very, very strong, and there were cracks in the road. And this seems to be a kind of a wavery damage on the road in Kyoto ward of Sapporo. This is from the Twitter feed around 3:40. There is a big crack in the road, and the road is damaged. So it is 5:04 that the sun would come out, so please be aware. Next, we would hear from reporter Mr. Kanamori. So what should we be aware? So seismic intensity of 6+. So those that are vulnerable buildings can collapse. And now we are still dark outside. And it seems that there can be aftershocks that would cause more damage. Against such background, for those to evacuate in the dark is going to be more dangerous since there's cracks in the roads and the buildings can collapse. So please be aware of the safety around you when you decide to evacuate. First, you have to be aware of what's happening outside before you evacuate. The sky is getting a bit of light, but it's still before the sunrise. And what should you be aware? So the glass can fall and break, and there's power outage, blackout, and you might be injured by stepping on the broken glass. So even within your home, please stay safe by wearing shoes, even inside your home. Due to those broken glass, so when the sun is out, start to clean out. So wait to clean out when the sun comes out. So those are the accessories that fell on the floor, so the glass cases are broken. This is the jewelry store in Sapporo. So there are stores under blackout, and the glass can be source of injury. So don't rush to try to clean out. Wear your shoes to stay safe, and then after the sunrise, start the cleaning. The traffic lights are aft, so what should be mindful? So in Sapporo City, you cannot really see what's happening with the traffic lights out, and there are policemen out. So do speed down, and when there is a large shake, so it's better not to be out driving under such circumstances. And also the elevators, with a seismic intensity of above 4, elevators can be dangerous. We don't know what the current situation is, but there is possibility of having accidents by use of elevators. Of course, there will be help out on the way, so please stay calm. Any other things that you should be careful at the moment? Well, we heard from the experts. So there are going to be possibility of aftershocks. There are possibilities of large aftershocks. So stay aware. We heard from reporter Mr. Kanamori. In Hokkaido, there are major shakes of seismic intensity above 4. From Hokkaido Police Office, as of 4 o'clock a.m., there are calls that the buildings has collapsed and there are people inside, or there are people who are trapped inside the elevators. There are many reports. The police office is trying to confirm all those damages. There are people trapped inside the elevators, and if you feel that you're in danger, do try to contact the maintenance office. So this is Abira in Hokkaido. There is a female person that fell, and she is now evacuated. So I would ask Mr. Takao of Muroran office by telephone. Yes.
はい、苫小牧市内から、
From Tomakomai
安平町に向かってい
to
る道
Abira.
中です。
I'm now on my way to Abira from Tomakomai.
20分ほど前に
About 20 minutes
苫小牧
ago,
市内を出ましたが、
I left Tomakomai.
今のところ道
And
路
now
などがひびが入って
there are
通れなくなっ
cracks.
ているといった状況はありません。
No, there is no situation that there are cracks in the road so that we cannot move from Tomakomai
た
to
だ
Abira.
信号が
But the traffic
ほぼ
lights
全域で電気がついていないため、
are
警
off,
察官が
so the police
誘導しなが
officers
ら交差点で整
are
理をしてい
guiding
るような
us
様子は
at
見られ
the
ました。
traffic intersections.
現在は安平町にすでに入っています。
I'm in Abiko.
中尾さん、
Abira.
その安平町では
Yes,
震度
so Abira,
周りのコンビニなど、はい、
観測したということな
so
んです
that
が、
was
その
shake
車
of
内からは被害の状況などは
6 plus seismic intensity. Are there reports of damages?
はい、現在ひびが入っている
There are
建物だった
cracks
り、
in the
建物が
buildings
崩れている
or the
そうい
buildings
った状
that
況は確認できません。
collapsed? No, there's no incidences
建
of
物
such.
の
So
明かりは消えています。
the lights are off in the buildings
ということですね。
and the shakes are continuing.
はい、
Yes?
信号が消えているという
So the traffic lights are off
慎重に運転
And
して
do stay careful when you drive.
室蘭放送局の中尾記者に
We
伝えてもらい
heard
ました。
from Mr. Nakao of Muroran
安
office.
平町の役場の話です
Next, from the city officer of Abira.
安平町の役場
So
によりますと
Abira,
午前4
which has
時過ぎ
seismic
に町の
intensity
職員
of
から
plus
ゴルフ
6,
場近くで土砂災害が
So
発
there
生
has
している
been the
という
landslide
情報が寄せられ
near
た
the
ということ
golf
です。
course.
また別の職員からは
And according to
街
another
中の
officer,
地域で2階建ての建物
the
の2階部
two-story
分が
buildings
浸水しているという情報も入ったということ
is
で、
damaged.
町役場では被害の情報を調べています。
The city office is
土砂災害にも
confirming
十分警戒し
those
てください。
reports of
地震で
damage.
地盤が緩み、山崩れや
And
崖
there can
崩れ
be
落石などの恐れもあります。
Dangers of
崖や急
landslides.
斜面、住宅の裏山など
And
危険な場所からは離れてください。この後も
Stay
強い
away
警戒が
from
必要
the
です
hills
屋外では上から落ちてくるものがない
and
か注意してく
be
ださい。
careful
ま
of
た建
those
物の壁際
falling
には
on you
近寄らないようにしてください。
and stay away
続
from
いて
those
震度5
buildings.
弱の揺れを観測した登別
Next,
市
we
の
go to 登別
市役所防災主幹の山本さんと電話がつながってい
City
ます。
office,
山本
we
さん
have a telephone interview with Mr.
大変な
Yamamoto.
状況の中恐れ入ります。
Thank you for accepting this interview. After the earthquake, we are now
現在の様子はいかがでしょうか。
more than 1 hour after the earthquake shook. But how is it in
まだ
Noboribetsu?
停電が続いている
The
ということ
blackout
で
is
すか。
still continuing. Yes.
他のその停電以外のですね、
What about
被害の情報などは入ってきている
other
でしょうか。
information aside the blackout? No big damage
怪我人ですと
reported.
か救急搬送とかそういった情報も
Emergency
そうですか
evacuation? No.
近くでその怪我をした人などもいないでしょうか。
Anybody who was injured?
その他ですね、そ
No.
の外の様子をご覧になって何
And
か普段と違う
looking from
様子
outside, is there
変わった
anything
様子などはわかります
that's
か？
different? Well, as of now, it's totally black with blackout.
今後のその市役所としての
Well,
対応どんなことを
as
考
for
えて
the
いらっしゃい
city
ますか？
office, what kind of response are you planning to take? We have power outage, so from 5:30, so those 4 places, we are having evacuation centers.
5時半から避難所を開設される。
So
もう一度その
you are
箇所を
having 4 evacuation centers from 5:30. Can you tell us? The citizens' halls and the other places, so that you would be having those evacuation centers, 4 evacuation centers within the city. Thank you.
続いて厚真町の情報です。震度5弱以上を観測したと考えられるものの、震度の情報が入っていない。
Abira seems to experience a seismic intensity of 5+, but so far no major damage has been confirmed. There are 5 houses being collapsed in the area. That is what we are hearing in Abira. But one of them was actually confirmed in person. And there's another house which is on fire. Now fire department is heading to the site. Shortly, daylight is coming, and now we are getting a lot of information. Give us the update. It's getting brighter, but still, it's dark. Under such circumstances, if you are inside your house, glasses may be broken. So be careful, even if you're inside your house. And if you're going outside, as you see now, walls can be collapsed. Abira town, the seismic intensity was 6+. And as you see, the blocks, the walls, broken. We may have aftershocks, which can be stronger than the first one. Be careful. Abira town. This is the live footage. You see the bricks totally broken. These brick-like wall. It's the wall. The bricks were covering these wooden parts. Wide areas broken. The red brownish bricks falling down from the second floor. You see cracks on the wall. The walls are totally broken. If these kind of bricks falling down can be very dangerous, yes. The second floor, if you look at the second floor, partially there's no wall, which will lose the balance. So if there's another shake, the remaining part may collapse as well. It's danger if you walk around this area. Check your safety. If any building is being damaged, stay away from the building. In Abira town, the seismic intensity was 6+. And here, walls are also collapsed. Concrete debris, you see, and the sign is also leaning. The grayish building, it's collapsed. It seems it's made of stones. It's very dangerous. It's leaning. It's very dangerous. Stay away from these dangerous buildings. In Hokkaido, even after experiencing seismic intensity of 6 or 5, they're still experiencing more aftershocks. Even if it's not shaking anymore, it's still danger. Any wall or glass may fall down. Be careful. Here's the live footage from Abira town in Hokkaido. Now it's getting brighter, but traffic signals still off. You have to be careful when you drive. Drive slowly. Now we are getting a report from the Sapporo Broadcast Center. I'm standing in front of the Sapporo Broadcast Center, NHK Broadcasting Center. The traffic crossed here. There's no light. The traffic lights are off. It has been more than 90 minutes after the shake, but still, an outage is continuing. People are being careful.
先ほどパトカーが10分ほど前、しばらく停電が続く見込みです。慎重に通行してくださいとアナウンスをしながら通り過ぎています。Policemen were providing announcement here till 10 minutes ago to ask people to be careful.
most buildings, there are no lights. If you look at the east side, it's getting brighter and brighter. Maybe it's 5:04. Sunlight will come at 5:04. This is the center of Sapporo City. I'm at the center of Chuo Ward, Sapporo City. Power outage is still continuing. Traffic signals are still off. Now, we see more traffic and more people walking around. But still, there's no power, so policemen are controlling the traffic. That was a live report from Sapporo. Now we are broadcasting from the studio. Now it's getting lighter, but outage is continuing, and policemen are controlling the traffic. What do we need to be careful for? It's getting brighter, yes, but those areas which experienced very strong shake, you have to continuously be careful. On the streets, policemen are controlling the traffic until it's get totally bright. Visibility is not perfect. There may be debris scattering around. You may cut your foot. Make sure you wear shoes when you go outside. The footage is Abita town, which experienced seismic intensity of 6+. The walls are collapsed. And as you see with our footage, walls and bottom of the buildings being collapsed. This is building made of stones, but the walls are collapsed. Other areas may be experiencing same kind of damages. The building is already leaning, and blocks have been falling down. If that's the case, there's a risk to your life. Buildings may be weaker as a result of these shakes, so be careful. The rooftop partially falling down on the ground, and beneath there are grayish block walls. The seismic intensity was 6+ at this area, Abita town in Hokkaido. The shake was strong enough, not letting people to keep standing. There are possibilities. Any walls can collapse. Be careful. Stay away from any weak buildings.
If you're just joining us, it's 4 minutes to 5 a.m. Japan time. A strong earthquake struck the island of Hokkaido in northern Japan shortly after 3 a.m. on Thursday. The Japan Meteorological Agency estimates its magnitude at 6.7. The focus was 40 kilometers underground. Tremors were recorded for up to 6+ on the country's seismic intensity scale of 0 to 7. And the weather agency says there is no threat of a tsunami. There is no threat of a tsunami. Now, there are reports of injuries, but you are currently looking at footage of Abita, the western town of Abita, which is near New Chitose Airport. Now, the tremor with an intensity of 6+ was recorded in this western town of Abita. There are reports water pipes have burst and power has been cut in the town. In many parts of the town, you can see shattered windows, and many of the signboards are slanted, and You can see many of the buildings have been damaged because of the powerful earthquake about 2 hours ago. Now, a town official told NHK the tremor was the strongest she had ever felt. And another official said the strong earthquake jolted her awake and lasted for about 1 minute. It's been difficult to reach the town by phone. As we have been reported, Abira town in the western part of Hokkaido prefecture, many of the outer walls of buildings have collapsed, and you can see bricks on the ground, and many of the outer parts of the building have been damaged. Signboards are crooked, and it's a very continues to be a very dangerous situation. You can see the entire outer wall of this building collapsed, and the signboard is slanted. So please, if you see any building like this building, be careful and stay away from these areas. There could be more collapsing of roofs and outer walls, so please do stay away. Once again, a strong earthquake struck the island of Hokkaido shortly after 3 a.m. on Thursday. The JMA estimates its magnitude at 6.7. The focus was 40 kilometers underground. Tremors were recorded for up to 6+ on the country's seismic intensity scale of 0 to 7. The agency says there is no threat of a tsunami. No threat of a tsunami. You are looking at NHK's domestic service from Abira town. This is the western town of Abira, which is near one of the airports, New Chitose Airport. This reporter, NHK domestic reporter, has just come to Abira town by car. Not many cracks on the roads on the way to Abira town. But if you are in the area, stay away from these kind of buildings because there may be more aftershocks to come. And even if there aren't any aftershocks, it is possible that these buildings, which already have the outer walls damaged, may collapse even more. So make sure that you stay away from these kind of buildings. And if you are in one of the areas, watch out for fires. Turn off your kitchen stove after the shaking ends if you have any more aftershocks. And watch out for power to all electrical devices. Make sure that your surroundings are safe before you move around. Now, Sapporo City and areas in Hokkaido will have the sunrise in about 5 minutes at 5:04 a.m. So do not move around unless it's necessary. It's still dim around and not completely bright yet. So make sure, since all the power supplies are cut in many parts of Hokkaido prefecture, do not move around and relocate. Try to relocate unless it's totally necessary. Make sure that you watch out for these collapsed buildings because they may get damaged even more all of a sudden, even without aftershocks. Remember, more tremors are still possible, and various parts of Hokkaido are feeling more aftershocks. So stay alert and stay updated through your mobile phone. Once again, a powerful earthquake struck the island of Hokkaido in northern Japan about 2 hours ago on Thursday. The Japan Meteorological Agency estimates its magnitude at 6.7, and the focus was 40 kilometers underground. Now, tremors were recorded of up to 6+ on the country's seismic intensity scale of 0 to 7. If you are in these areas, make sure that you stay away. There could be even more aftershocks to come, and even if there aren't any aftershocks, buildings that are already collapsed a little bit may collapse even more. So please do stay updated. Now, we are getting information from a power company in Hokkaido saying it's looking into the extent of the outages, and aftershocks are taking place. The central government has set up an emergency task force to handle the situation. And at the same time, the country's nuclear regulator says the Tomari nuclear power plant on the island has shut down, but workers there are using emergency power generators with diesel, and the plant's nuclear spent fuel is safely under control and is being cooled at the moment. Once again, the Tomari nuclear plant in Hokkaido has shut down. But workers there have used emergency power generators using diesel, and with that emergency system, the plant's nuclear spent fuel is safely under control and is being cooled at the moment. Now you are looking at Muroran City, another hard-hit city in Hokkaido. You are looking at part of the city, and you can see damaged buildings and smoke coming out from one of the buildings. We are trying to get an update on the situation there in Muroran City. This is a factory which has been on fire. We have been getting information about a fire in one of the factories in Muroran City. So if you're, of course, in and around the areas, stay away from the areas. There could be more aftershocks, and it is a very dangerous situation. Switching now back to the western town of Abira. This is near one of the airports, New Chitose Airport. We are getting a helicopter view of the situation. In about a few minutes, we will be approaching sunrise in Hokkaido Prefecture. You can see, yes, the power is down in the hardest hit town of Abira here. Now, a tremor with a level 6+ on Japan's seismic intensity scale was recorded here, and there are reports that water pipes have burst and power has been cut in the town. You are looking at the helicopter view of Abira town, which is close to one of the main airports in Hokkaido. A town official here in Abira told the strongest she had ever felt. Another official said the strong earthquake jolted her awake and lasted for about 1 minute. It's been difficult to reach the town by phone. We are approaching sunrise in Abira town, but do not move around unless it's totally necessary. It's not completely bright yet, so stay calm and stay updated. We will keep you updated on the situation through simultaneous interpretation.
町内で合わせて7棟の住宅が倒壊したという通報が寄せられているということです。このうち2棟については
So there are 7 buildings that collapsed, and of the 2 collapsed buildings, there are residents who are under the building, and there are now the help is on the way to those residents. So those parts that had the seismic intensity 5-, according to the fire station of Azuma, as of 5:40, there are 7 buildings that collapsed. And as for the 2 buildings, there are residents who are trapped under the collapsed building, and the fire station is on the way to help. Now it's 5:04, and this is sunrise time for Sapporo, and it is being light outside, but please be careful when you go outside. The camera footage is about Abira town. The electricity pole is now slanted to the right. And in Abira town, the seismic intensity was 6+. There can be very large aftershocks. So stay away from the block walls, and when you are outside, be careful of the falling objects, and do stay away from the buildings. There are broken glass outside this building, so the window has been broken. The window glass is broken, and the broken glass on the ground. We can see the broken window here and also the broken glass on the ground. In Abira town, there are buildings like this, and do not stay near the broken glass. We are now in the studio, and there are places that have the broken glass. And what should we be aware? Be mindful. Stay aware and stay away from the buildings. And before you approach those buildings, do see how the situation is. And if the buildings are slanted,
逆に近づきすぎるとわからなくなるということもあります。
Don't stay too close to the building, and from the faraway place, do try to ascertain the safety and stay away from those dangerous places. There can be aftershocks, so don't stay close to those parts, and stay away from buildings and walk in the safe places. So stay calm and don't try to clean up. Now you can have the possibility of aftershocks, and there can be broken glass and the broken plates inside your house. So you might feel that you need to clean up as soon as you can, but we don't have this safety now, so we cannot secure safety now. And there are dangerous places outside, like parks or the centers within the city that can keep you safe. So there are slanted electricity poles, and those electric wires are hanging down. Yes, there can be such instances because there are widespread power outage, blackouts, and when the slanted electricity poles, you can be electrified if you fall on the wire. Now we have the blackouts. According to Hokkaido Electricity, 4:30 a.m., more than 50,000 places are blackout, and there is no plan to have the lights back on soon. So as of 4:30, about 5.25 million houses that are in blackout, and the Hokkaido Electricity is trying to confirm. And do please to be aware of those fires that can be set by those falling electricity wires. So in Abira town that had the seismic intensity of +6, there have been 2 people who were transferred to the hospital, and the water is off, and many places are having power outage, blackout. This camera footage is from Abira town. This is Abira city office and town office, and there are drawers that are out, and the things on the desks have fallen to the floor, and we see the open drawers. So seismic intensity was +6 in Abira town office. So there has been very strong shake of a seismic intensity of +6. There can be tides that are risen, but there's no warning of tsunami as of now. So we would hear from the meteorological agency afterwards.
Good morning. On the 6th of September, in the Iburi area of Hokkaido, the earthquake occurred at 3:08, and the magnitude mass 6.7. And the most shaken areas need precautions for the collapse of houses and landslides. Further, people should be alerted on the further news reports, and please take shelter in safe places. And there is no threat of a tsunami. And the precautions include that in most the affected areas, the people should be aware of the ongoing the falling landslides and collapses of buildings. And unless absolutely necessary, stay away from the dangerous or the risky places in order to secure your safety. I'm going to give further information based on the written material. On the 6th of September 2018, 3:08 in the AM, the earthquake occurred in Iburi area of Hokkaido. The earthquake occurred precisely at 7 past 3 a.m. The magnitude was 6.7. This is the same as the preliminary information that has been announced previously. And the focus of the earthquake is 37 kilometers below the ground. And the earthquake is a reverse fault type, and the axis of the earthquake extends to the northeast. And in Chitose, the 6- was recorded on the Japanese intensity scale, and part of the central part of the Hokkaido, weaker shakes have been reported. And for other areas, we haven't received any other further information as to the measuring of the earthquake intensity. And there is no threat of a tsunami in the strongly hit areas. There is the danger of the collapse of buildings and landslides. People are urged to take precautions unless absolutely necessary. People are urged to stay away. For next 7 days, the maximum intensity is 7 can occur. Further on, within 3 to 4 days from now on, the major earthquake can occur further. As of the 4:50 this morning, very strong the earthquakes have occurred already 12 times. In Ishikari area, the long frequency earthquake 4 was reported, and most of the unstable objects have fallen in these areas. According to emergency earthquake measuring system, the 12 seconds after the earthquake, emergency warning was issued. There is no danger of a tsunami. In the most affected areas, there is the greater risk of the falling furniture or objects for the landslides. Unless absolutely necessary, you are urged to stay away from dangerous places. Within next 7 days, the 6+ earthquakes can occur further, and major shakes often occur within 3 or 4 days after a major earthquake.
So the seismic scale, those earthquakes that are observed, this is the distribution of the intensity scale from Hokkaido to Tohoku area. that in a cross, this is the epicenter, and this is the more detailed diagram of the distribution of the intensity of earthquake. This diagram is from the observatory points, and the information coming from each place as to the intensity of the earthquake. This cross is denoting the epicenter, and 6 plus, there are 2 places with 6 plus, and those are the areas that had observed intensity of 6 plus, and then 6 minus and 5 plus, and then 4, 3, we can see from this diagram. Yes, there's also 2 of the intensity scale. The earthquakes that were observed, and near the epicenter, the scale that have been observed, but from the multiple places, those have not reported the intensity of the earthquake, and we would need to confirm there can be places that had experienced 6 plus. Next page. This diagram shows the distribution of the intensity of the earthquake, and to each of the places, the observed data so the places that are far from the epicenter, the area, there are areas that had experienced earthquake. Next, this earthquake, how the mechanism was that had caused this earthquake. The CMT wave is showing this analysis. So, according to the provisionary data, so magnitude 6.7, I had said, but according to this analysis, this is magnitude 6.6. And this earthquake is in Tohoku area, and west-southwest. This is a reverse fault type of north-west, and the west-southwest reverse fault type. Okay. So back to studio. So there has been landslide caused by this earthquake already, according to the Meteorological Agency press conference. And Azuma town of Hokkaido, this is seismic intensity 5 minus, but this is to the left of the Abira town that had the intensity of 6. So this is Azuma town, and there is a large-scale landslide that occurred in this town. The blue roof can be seen here, but the blue roof is surrounded by the trees, and this roof is slanted to the side, and on the fields, those trees are collapsed onto the fields, and from the wide angle, we can see the parts that are collapsed. To the left, we would hear from Azuma town of Hokkaido. This is flying over this seismic intensity 5 minus, but this is to the left of the Abira town that had the intensity of 6.
This is a live footage from the Azuma town in Hokkaido. There are many landslides within this town. We see houses have been destroyed, crushed by the earth. I see many houses crushed down and destroyed by the the fallen earth and suns. We have Mr. Atsuma, Mr. Aoki of the Atsuma town office. Thank you, San, for taking this interview. Have you heard of any detailed reports? There are many the unpassable roads, and we cannot access many places. This is Yoshino area of Atsuma town. This is the area called Yoshino within Atsuma. What is the population, the size of the area? This is the area with about 30 people. And there are several populated areas nearby as well. Do you have approximate size of the population in this part of your town? I guess there are about 200 people living here and nearby. So this is the close to the prefecture line 235. Yes, this is the area alongside the prefecture road 235. Have you heard of any detailed reports further? No, not yet. And prefecture and the town officials are now on their way to the office. And we have reports of the cave downs or cave-ins of roads and public roads. And there is a major bridge, and we have closed that bridge. I have Mr. Aoki of the Atsuma town of Hokkaido. Thank you very much. According to JR Hokkaido, there is a blackout, and all the services, including Hokkaido Shinkansen, have been suspended. According to JR Hokkaido, because of this earthquake, there is a blackout in extended areas, and within the JR Hokkaido service areas, all the services have been suspended.
And as of 5 a.m., Mukao, Biratori, Hiraka, Nika, telephone service is out, including a cell phone. So it seems that the network is off. According to confirmation by NHK, as of 5 a.m., Mukaba, Biratori, Hiraka, Nika towns, the fixed telephone and also the cell phone is out.
失礼します。お物に注目し。
seem to be damaged. As for the injuries, according to Hokkaido Police, as of 5 a.m., the injuries have been reported, several injuries have been reported, and as you have shown in the footage, in Atsuma town, the landslide had caused 2 houses to collapse, and Higashi Ward and Nishi Ward of Sapporo, there are instances of people trapped inside the elevators. As for the injuries, in Hokkaido Police, according to Hokkaido Police, as of 5 a.m., the injuries, there are several reports of injuries. And in Atsuma town, due to landslides, 2 cases reported of the houses collapse, and in Nishi ward of Sapporo, there are reports of people trapped inside the elevators. So the police is trying to confirm the situation. This live footage is from Atsuma town that had the seismic intensity of about 5 minus. That is right next to the Abira town that experienced seismic intensity of 6 plus. So the landslide had occurred in a wide area of Atsuma town, and we can see the bare mountain here, and the green trees had slid over the fields or the houses. Landslide caused in wide area. And we are back to studio now. We ask Mr. Kanamori, so the landslides had occurred. What should we need to be aware of? Well, due to the very strong shakes, we see those landslides. And getting a closer look, we can see the white lines here. So maybe this is due to the rain that has been quite intense, so that the land made saturated from the rain could have caused those landslide, and then trees had fallen on top of the fields and houses. This is a very dangerous situation, and please take your refuge in the fields. And we can see a person here, but if more shake, land can be damaged here, so don't stay near those places. In Hokkaido, Atsuma had an intensity of 5 minus. So this is next to the Abira town that had the intensity scale of 6 plus. So we can see the collapsed roof here, and we see these white lines. So for the wide area, a landslide had occurred, and the debris and the trees had fallen on top of houses and had gone into the fields. Similar damages can be caused in the nearby places. And the helicopter that is taking this footage of Hokkaido police, we can see several places that landslide had caused damages. This is the footage from the Hokkaido police and the helicopter. This is of Abira town. This is from the helicopter of Hokkaido police taking footage over Abira town. So there are several landslides that occurred. And the footage is of Atsuma town. But in Hokkaido Abira town, there are several instances of landslide occurring and damaging houses. So those places with the landslide damage in Atsuma and Abira, but that can be occurring in other places in Hokkaido. Yes, in other places of Hokkaido, there are similar mountains like this, and alongside the mountain, there are roads and houses. The similar situation can be observed in other places in Hokkaido. So in many regions, the seismic scale, we have not observed the data from the seismic scale. So the seismic intensity 5 plus or 6 plus, more observations from wider areas, the reports of big shakes can be reported from other areas, so that it is very probable that there are landslide damages in other areas of Hokkaido. So Atsuma and Mukama and Hiraka and Hiratori and Nikap town, it is estimated to be more than seismic intensity 5, but Atsuma, Mukawa, Hiraka, Hiratori, and Nikap town, we still have not heard reports of the seismic intensity, but we don't still know what the seismic intensity is, but there can be widespread damages here. So observed to be seismic intensity of 5 plus, so that can be very major shakes, and we see the landslide damages like this, so that can be spread to other areas. Please be aware and stay alert. The camera footage, this is a live feed of Atsuma town, that is west of Abira town. This is a major landslide, and we had information that also Abira town has major landslide damages. Here we go to Atsuma town. So the intensity scale is not reported, but Sakuragaoka or Yoshino area, there has been houses that collapsed, that the help is on the way. The rescue is done there. So Sakuraoka area and Yoshino area, the houses have collapsed and the rescue efforts are taking place. And one person has been rescued from a building that collapsed, and there is another person that is trapped under the building. And these places are near the mountains that had such accident. So one person has been rescued from the collapsed building, and there is now rescue effort to have the person under the building retrieved. So this is Atsuma town, and this very major landslide that occurred from this live feed, and the debris and trees had slid to the field and the houses.
According to the fire department of Muroran City, Shin-Nitetsu Sumikin's work, one facility within the Sumikin, the Shin-Nitetsu Sumikin's the factory was in place. The fire occurred at 4:10. This is a live footage of Muroran city of Hokkaido. You can see a white smoke rising up. Within the Shin-Nitetsu Sumikin's factory, Mitsubishi Seiko's the facility is located, which is on fire. And within this complex, the firefighting operation is underway. This is a live footage from Muroran city, and the smoke is coming up. That is a site of a fire. And in Atsuma town of Hokkaido, a seismic scale, the 5- was recorded. The large-scale landslide occurred, as you can see. Now you have a close-up of the landslide. The trees and soils have been falling down, destroying several houses. Apparently, you see the water tank, and then now in the middle of the camera, the soils have covered the street that runs in the center of the screen. The soils have blocked this road. In the Abira town, the 6+ intensity was recorded, and this is Atsuma town, just east of Abira. A large amount of soil have collapsed with strong force, and the soil was full of water, and Hokkaido had a heavy rainfall just the other day, and the soil was apparently oversaturated. This is a live footage of Atsuma town of Hokkaido. You see the white building was covered by soil. And the building was surrounded by the collapsed soil and fallen trees. Atsuma town was hit by a 5- earthquake on the Japanese intensity scale. What precautions are necessary? The 5- is the unofficial the measuring, so the real shake may have been stronger, and as you can see, the collapsed soil includes the many trees, which makes the landslide more destructive. So please stay away. This is a live footage of Atsuma town. Many houses were destroyed and flown by the fallen soils. Landslides destroyed not only houses but also roads and farmlands. The soil is very soft in Hokkaido, particularly in this part of Hokkaido, because of the heavy rainfall recorded very recently. And in Tomakomai, according to fire department, there were 20 reports, and 10 people were injured and transported to hospitals, and one of them have been heavily injured, and there have been no reports of reports have been made to the fire department, and there are 10 injuries, including the one person which have been heavily injured. According to Hokkaido, the power company, 2.95 the households are in blackouts. According to Hokkaido Electric Power Company, as of 4:30 this morning, there was a blackout in wide areas, and there has been no power service to 2.95 million households. The Atsuma town is reported to have been hit by 5-. The intensity. The Atsuma is just next to east of Abira town, which have been apparently strongly hit. In Atsuma town, as you can see from this live footage, there many houses have been destroyed, and soil from the landslides reached the road and the river nearby. The extended sections of the mountain nearby have collapsed, and the houses have been destroyed and flown down. What is your take, Mr. Kanamori? Because perhaps due to the heavy rainfall recently in Hokkaido, the soil has been oversaturated, which destroyed many houses, and the many trees also have fallen and they've flown down from the surface of the mountain, and the soil has been very destructive. So people are warned not to stay away from these dangerous areas. And in Sapporo City, all 330 public schools, the 320 public schools have decided not to have class today. And according to Tomakomai City Board of Education. So far, there has been no reports of the damage of schools or the injured students, but they have decided not to have class today. According to Sapporo and Tomakomai cities, the Board of Education decided not to have class today. And they have been collecting information, but there haven't been reports of injuries of students or the damage to the school buildings. But they have decided not to have class because some people they take shelter in public schools.
This is the live footage from Atsuma town of Hokkaido. Atsuma town had the seismic intensity of 5 minus. Abira town is right next to this Atsuma town, but Abira town had seismic intensity of 6 plus. So the landslide had occurred in a wide area, and the soil has fallen into the fields and the buildings and the roads. And there are possibilities that other landslides could have taken place, and there are other possibilities of such landslides to occur because the land had been oversaturated by heavy rain recently, and the mountains, stay away from the mountains. This is the live footage of Atsuma town in Hokkaido. The mountain had experienced landslides, and that soil has gone into the fields and houses. There are possibilities of other places having the landslides. Do stay away from those slopes near the mountains. And about 3:08 at Hokkaido Abira town, there is a very strong earthquake of seismic intensity over 6. And as you can see from this, there are places that can have the landslide damages. Stay away from those dangerous places. 6 plus Abira, 6 minus Chitose, 5 minus Tomakomai, Ebetsu, Mikasa, Eniwa, Naganuma, Shin-Hiraka town. 5 minus Hakodate, Muroran, Noboribetsu, Iwamizawa, Date, and Kita Hiroshima, Ikishikari, Shin-Shinotsumura, Namporo town, Yuni town, Kuriyama town, and Shiraoi town. And seismic intensity 5 minus. There are unofficial but Muskawa, Hiratori, Nikapu towns. So Atsuma had seismic intensity 5 minus, but we still have not been confirmed officially. So it is east of Abira town that had the seismic intensity 6 plus. According to the reports, there is no threat of tsunami, but there has been a large-scale landslide here. This is the live footage of Atsuma town. This is estimated to be seismic intensity of 5 minus. We would hear from Professor Hirata Naoshi of Tokyo University. By looking at this footage, what can we observe? This had occurred as a large-scale inland earthquake, so there has been much damage here. So what is the mechanism that caused this earthquake? Well, Hokkaido, from south east from the sea, there's a Pacific plate that is under Hokkaido, but the position of a Pacific plate, well, this is about for 100 kilometers underground. So this earthquake cannot be thought to be from this Pacific plate, but there is the pressure that has been caused inland. So the seismic intensity of 6 plus, but what do you see as the earthquake activities? Well, once a very strong earthquake hits, there can be active earthquake activities, and there are possibilities that they can experience stronger shocks afterwards. So the damaged house or people within the damaged houses, please be aware. And there are possibilities that there can be a bigger earthquake after this. And also, if there are earthquakes, even smaller earthquakes, if that is closer to your house. So compared to the Kumamoto earthquake 2 years ago, there can be a stronger earthquake compared to that. So please be aware and be responsive. As for the responses, so what should we need to be aware as precaution? So seismic intensity of 6 plus or 5 plus, the furniture can be sliding or objects can be fallen. So I think you had started clean up activities, but when a large shake comes, the damaged house can collapse even further, or there can be objects from top of shelves falling onto you. So please be careful. Take precaution to start the cleanup activity. There are possibilities that major shake can occur, and do be careful of those objects falling on top of you, and there can be damage by the landslide. So we had heard from Professor Naoshi Hirata of University of Tokyo. And are there any other information about this earthquake? Well, this part, so to the west there's plains, and to the east there are Hiraka Mountains. So this is a hillside area, and this is gently slopes. And for those parts that's closer to the sea, if large shake occurs in those places near the sea, there can be landslide damages.
The Prime Minister Abe just arrived to the Prime Minister's office. Would you explain what the Japanese government will do to this earthquake? The fallen, there is a widespread damage, including blackout, landslides, and the fallen objects. The people's lives come first. The entire government will do everything it can do in order to save people's lives and secure living. This has been the comment by the Prime Minister Abe. We have Professor Naoshi Hirata, seismologist of University of Tokyo, which explained the mechanism of this earthquake. This occurred inside the
真ん中あたりにですね、日高山脈というのがありましてですね、日高山脈というのは東西に力を受けて山が隆起しているというような場所です。
A strong earthquake has rocked Japan's northern island of Hokkaido. That's shortly after 3 a.m. on Thursday, less than 3 hours ago. Police say they've received multiple reports of injuries, and they're investigating the extent of the damage. The meteorological agency estimates the trembler's magnitude at 6.7. The focus was 37 kilometers underground in the western part of Hokkaido. The agency says there is no threat of a tsunami. You're looking at Atsuma town in Hokkaido Prefecture, which has an estimated seismic intensity of 5- on the Japanese seismic intensity scale of 0 to 7. Now, an expert at the meteorological agency said residents should be alert for major aftershocks for 1 week. Now, you are looking at the town of Atsuma, and a large number of houses at the foot of a long ridge were crushed by massive landslides, and roads were buckled and broken. And in the town of Abira, which is just west of Atsuma town, it's also near New Chitose Airport, one of the major airports of Hokkaido. A tremor of level 6+ on Japanese seismic intensity scale was recorded. A woman there was reportedly taken to a hospital after falling downstairs. Also in Muroran City, a fire broke out at a factory of a major steel maker of Mitsubishi, a Japanese steel maker for Mitsubishi. And the power company in Hokkaido says nearly 3 million buildings are without electricity. That's 2.95 million households across Hokkaido. The central government has set up an emergency task force to respond to the situation, and Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has just held a news conference about 2 minutes ago at the Prime Minister's office. And he told everybody to stay safe and stay updated with the latest information, and also cooperate with local assemblies in the situation. Now, Japan's nuclear regulator says the Tomari nuclear plant on the island has shut down, but workers there are using emergency power generators using diesel, and the plant's nuclear fuel is now safely under control, and the nuclear spent fuel there is being cooled at the moment. Also, a rail operator in Hokkaido says it suspended all services, including those of Shinkansen bullet trains, and it says it's not sure when services will resume. We will continue to keep you updated with the latest information under simultaneous interpretation, so do stay with us.
This is a live footage of Atsuma town of Hokkaido. There is the wide area of this the mountain section has collapsed. The people are strongly warned of ongoing landslides, which might be triggered by further shakes. The falling rocks and the landslides are very dangerous. Please do stay away. This is a live footage of Atsuma town of Hokkaido, which was hit by Japanese earthquake intensity 5-. And this is the next right east of Abira, which was hit by intensity 6+. This is a live footage of Atsuma town of Hokkaido. The wide section of this mountain has collapsed, and it has lost the vegetation in wide areas. And landslides have been reported in many other parts. And this is Atsuma town hit by intensity 5-, just next east of Abira, hit by 6+. What can you tell from this live footage? Apparently, the wide area of the mountain was hit and by a strong shake, and this is the gently sloped area, but there are steep slides and the slopes which can be hit by landslides as well, and the collapsed sections might the soil can be swept away further from the collapsed section. We cannot rule out the sections stronger shakes might from now on. The soil within can several days from now on. In the areas with similar landscapes, the precautions are necessary. As of the end of the August, there are 2,800 households, and the population is and the mainstay is the agriculture and forestry. And according to the preliminary report, Atsuma town, from which we have a live coverage, is hit by intensity 5-. And the landslides have occurred in other places in Hokkaido, and the landslides can continue by the aftershocks. This is a live coverage from the Atsuma town. And apparently this is a site where the landslide occurred. We see slanted trees and electric poles. The road is blocked, and the photographer has just got off the car and take this live footage. And you see the fallen trees and the destroyed house. We can only see its roof and the TV antenna. We can see the destroyed house and the fallen trees and the soils that destroyed this house. This is a live coverage of Atsuma town of Hokkaido.
There are trees covering the road. The trees are covering the road. And the electric poles also leading towards the street. In Atsuma town in Hokkaido, landslides taking place in various areas. The streets are cut. The street is cut off. This is the live footage from Atsuma town in Hokkaido. The seismic intensity seems to be 5-, but this is not an official record. We're hearing from Professor Hirata, an expert of earthquake. What people need to be careful for, because of the very strong shake, landslides took place. And if we have another strong shake, the areas already causing landslides and neighborhood areas can experience another landslide, so be careful. In our studio, we have Professor Hirata from Tokyo University. As reported, at 3:08 a.m., there was a strong earthquake taking place in Hokkaido. So far, there's no concern of tsunami. Details will be reported from 6 a.m. Ohio, Nippon. At 3:08 a.m. this morning, there was a very strong earthquake taking place in Abita town and surrounding areas in Hokkaido. Details information will be available from 6 a.m. at Ohio, Nippon. Good morning, everyone. It's been almost 3 hours since the earthquake. At 3:08 a.m. this morning, at Abita town in Hokkaido, there was a very strong earthquake with the seismic intensity of 6+. There's no worry of tsunami. Landslides have been taking place, and some buildings have been covered by these landslides. And we're hearing some damages on people as well. Here's the Atsuma town where landslides have been taking place. In various areas, we see a lot of landslides. These soils are pushing away the residentials. In wide areas, landslides took place. Police helicopters are being dispatched to the area. The buildings, houses are covered by the earth. You cannot tell what kind of houses they were prior to the landslide. And the whole area, the street is covered by the earth. The earth is flowing into the field, going beyond the street. Here's the live footage from Atsuma town. We see various landslides taking place in various areas. Sapporo Station. I am in Sapporo Station of JR. All the trains are not operating. People are listening to what is going to be the plan. Some people were planning to head to Hakodate, taking the first train, but the train was canceled. Some other person who was planning to head to Hakodate hit a bus to get here and found that the train was not operating. He's now thinking what to do. Here's the live footage from Atsuma town. Huge landslide took place. In the middle, you see trees are falling on the field. The building collapsed, totally collapsed. Getting closer, you see a policeman checking whether there's a person staying inside or not. Several policemen are checking whether anyone is staying inside the building. This building has been leaning towards heavily and being collapsed. The street is covered. The tree is leaning and falling on the electricity lines. The live footage was from Atsuma town, Hokkaido. We are now getting information related to the damages. Because of a huge blackout, many people are not being able to get information. If you do not have access to information, you get worried more. If you have any acquaintance, friend, family member in the affected area, please use mobile phone to provide information to them. NHK will keep providing detailed information. Please communicate these information to your acquaintances. Please also ask them, your acquaintances, to provide support or communicate these information to the elderly or disabled people in the neighborhood. At 3:08 a.m. this morning, at Abita town in Hokkaido, there was a strong earthquake with seismic intensity of 6+. There's no worry of tsunami. This is a live footage as of 3:08 in Tomakomai, Hokkaido. It has been shaking for a while, and then there has been an outage, power outage. Seismic intensity 6+ was recorded at Abita town, and 6, Chitose, 5+, Sapporo, Northward, Tomakomai, Ebetsu, Mikasa, Eniwa, Naganuma town, Shinhidaka town, 5-, Hakodate, Muroran, Iwamizawa, Noboribetsu, Date, North Hiroshima, Ishikari City, and Shinshinotsu Town, Village, 5-, Namporo Uni, Kuriyama, Shiraoi Town, etc. In areas experiencing 5- or stronger, there are some areas which we have not heard what was the size of seismic intensity. Atsuma town, Mukawa town, Hidaka town, Vitara town, Nikapu town, we still don't know what was the record for the seismic intensity. Aomori, some areas in Aomori and Hokkaido, seismic intensity 4 was also recorded. According to the meteorological agency, The epicenter was Iburi in Hokkaido, and in the depth of 37 kilometers. Magnitude side was 6, is estimated to be 6.7. It was just a huge shake. It continued for 30 seconds or 60 seconds, I don't know, but it was long. I was staying at the 6th floor, but I got so afraid. I felt the shock all of a sudden. The shake was very strong. I think it continued for about 30 seconds. Following the earthquake, the Meteorological Agency, Mr. Matsumori, held a press conference. In the area where experienced very strong shakes, there is increasing risk of houses collapsing. Stay on alert. Unless there's urgent need, don't get close to dangerous areas. For the coming 1 week or so, please be careful of another possibility of earthquake. For the coming 1 week or the first 2 or 3 days after be careful the earthquake of another possibility of earthquake. We tend to have the coming 1 week or the first 2 or 3 be careful. Please be careful of another possibility of earthquake. From Abita town in Hokkaido. For the coming 1 week or the first 2 or large-scale landslide took place in this area. Landslide took place and trees and earth covered the streets. Large-scale streets are totally cut off. Now, Self-Defense Agency is arriving here to check the current status. Landslide took place and the street is totally cut off. This was a live footage from Abita town.
In many places, the affected areas, the land has become soft because of the rain yesterday, and there is an increased danger of landslides occurring further on within the Sapporo and in extended areas of Hokkaido. The utility lines have been disturbed. This is the Abira town of Hokkaido, taken by NHK just after 5 o'clock a.m. The Abira was hit by intensity 6+, and there are many houses and buildings destroyed by the earthquake. People are urged to stay away from these buildings. According to fire department of Abira town, the 3 people have been transferred to hospitals. We haven't experienced this strong earthquake. Everything has been destroyed within the houses and the shops. I felt very strong shock. The 6+ was the record. 6 was recorded by Shin Chitose the airport, and the intensity 5 was reported in Hakodate city, and the 2 people have been injured. And Atsuma town, there's no official the earthquake measuring yet, and the large section of this mountain have been collapsed, and the soil has swept away many houses and buildings. According to Atsuma town officials, 7 houses have been destroyed. This is the report about the Tomari nuclear power station within Tomari town, which is hit by the intensity 2, and the outside the power has been cut, but the 6 emergency the generators have been used, and the 3 nuclear reactors have been in a stable condition. And there has been no damage to the power stations, and there's been no change to the radioactivity measuring posts.
緊急地震速報です。強い揺れに警戒してください。
This is an emergency earthquake warning. Please be careful. The strong shake can come soon. In the center and the southern part of Hokkaido, there is the emergency earthquake warning has just been issued to the southwestern part of Hokkaido. Another strong shake can occur at any moment, and any shake can cause a major disaster. This is an emergency earthquake warning issued to the southwestern part of Hokkaido and the central part of Hokkaido. People are strongly urged to stay away from the areas which can have landslides or which already experienced landslides. This is another, the second emergency earthquake warning after the first one, which was issued 3 hours ago. This is Atsuma town, but this has been hit by a strong earthquake already at 3 o'clock this morning. There is another emergency warning after the first shake about 3 hours ago.
緊急地震速報が先ほど再び発表されました。北海道道南、北海道道央に
Another emergency warning has just been issued to the southwestern part and the central part of Hokkaido. Atsuma town of Hokkaido was hit by the intensity 5, but this is not official, and this has already been experiencing very major damage, and there is no concern of the tsunami. Ishikari, Sorachi, and Iburi area experienced the earthquake intensity 4. The maximum intensity recorded was the intensity 4. From this earthquake just occurred. There is no threat of tsunami. Iburi, Ishikari, and area was hit by intensity 4, and Shibire, Iburi, and central Idaka, and Tokachi, and part of Aomori area also hit by intensity 3. The intensity 4 was recorded in Ishikari, Iburi, and Sorachi. This is the coverage from Muroran of Hokkaido. At a time when the another earthquake was occurred, which measured intensity 4. Intensity 4 was recorded in Tomakomai, Mikasa, Chitose, Eniwa, Namporo, Yuni, and Abira. And the intensity 3 was recorded in Sapporo, Hakodate, Otaru, Muroran, Yubari, Iwamizawa, Ibai, Ebetsu, Noboribetsu, Date, Kita Hiroshima, Ishikari. at 6:11, the Tomakomai, Mikasa, Chitose, Eniwa, Namporo, Yuni, Abira areas were hit by intensity 4 earthquake. They have already been hit by the major earthquake 3 hours ago, so land may have become softer and unstable, so people are urged to take precautions. We have the Professor Naoshi Hirata of University of Tokyo, seismologist.
There was another earthquake at 6:11 a.m. Is this related earthquake to the first one? Yes, I think so. Once we have a major earthquake, almost for sure there is going to be afterquake, because earthquake has been very active. Usually after strong earthquake, as time goes by, the frequency of earthquake goes down. But for the first, especially during the first 2 or 3 years, there are likely to be earthquakes with the same size or similar sizes. It's been only a few hours since the first strong earthquake, so there is still a big possibility, high possibility, major earthquakes will follow. So there's even a possibility of earthquake equivalent to seismic intensity of 4 or larger to take place. Yes, the first one, the seismic intensity was 6+, so the following one can be as strong as 6+ as well, especially when we had Kumamoto earthquake in 2016. The second one, not the second one, after 28 hours, even a stronger earthquake took place. So if you're in an area where a large-sized earthquake hit, if you felt a very strong shake, continuously be careful. Now you're hearing from Mr. Kanamori. Osaka earthquake, it was 6-, but now it's 6+, so the energy size is larger, so the damage size can be even larger. Yes, magnitude 6.7, so the scale is large, strong. And when we had an earthquake in Osaka, north area of Osaka, the walls were collapsing, and this time we're already hearing some buildings already collapsing, and actually in Atsuma town, landslides are taking place and buildings are swept away. The size, of course, 6.7 is stronger than 6. And some areas we do not still have the official record of the seismic intensities. It's estimated to be 5-, but it can be 6- or 6+. Anyway, the earthquake was strong, so even if you are away from the epicenter, if you're in an area where the land is not necessarily strong, you have to be careful. This is the area where the seismic intensity is estimated to be 5, but we do not have an official record. This area is next to Atsuma town, where they experienced a huge landslide. We are not receiving detailed information from these areas. You're hearing from our reporter, Mr. Kanamori. The area experienced seismic intensity 6 is now experiencing seismic intensity 4. What people need to be careful if they are in these areas? The first one, which took place at around 3 a.m., some buildings were already collapsing or leaning or becoming weaker. And even if you are in an area where the landslide is not taking place for the time being, the earth can be weak and it can cause a landslide in the near future. These landslides can take place all of a sudden, or collapse can take place all of a sudden. So stay away from these dangerous areas. Atsuma Town, Buira Town, they are experiencing landslides. These are the areas where they had a lot of rainfall yesterday. From the footage, we could tell that water were flowing in the areas where we saw the where they're experiencing landslides. So there were rainfall and followed by a strong earthquake. And if this is the case, there's more risk of landslides. So if there is a cliff or mountain in your neighborhood, stay away. Here's the footage from Atsuma Town, where there was a huge landslide. The fire department people are now checking the site and should be rescuing the people there. Should be trying to rescue the people there. And the magnitude side was 6.7, and it was an earthquake taking place inland. And the depth is estimated to be roughly 40 kilometers. And as a result, damages can be observed in wider areas. In some areas, we are still not getting information. There may be damage. There should be some areas damaged, even if we are not getting information for the time being. Now, the live footage is from Biratori Town, where we still do not have official record of seismic intensity. Now we are getting information. Tomakomai City recorded 5+ seismic intensity. 85-year-old male was transferred to a hospital after falling from the stairs, but he was confirmed to be suffered from cardiopulmonary arrest. The tide height may be higher following the shake, but there's no worry of tsunami for the time being. Abita Town 6+, Chitose 5+, 5, Tomakomai, Ebetsu, Mikasa, Eniwa, Naganuma Town, Hidaka Town, 5-, Hakodate, Muroran, Iwamizawa, Noboribetsu, Date, North Hiroshima, 5- again, Ishikari, Shintsuna, Uni, Namporo, Kuriyama, Shiraoi, etc. And 5-, though there's no official record, Atsuma Town, Mukawa Town, Hidaka Town, Miratori Town, Nikap Town. Other than these areas, seismic intensity of 4 were observed in various areas in Hokkaido and Aomori. In Tohoku, Kanto, Niigata, seismic intensity from between 1 and 3 were observed. The depth of seismic intensity, the epicenter was about 40 kilometers, and the magnitude side is estimated to be 6.7. The shake continued for about 30 seconds, 60 seconds. I don't know. I was staying at the 6th floor. It was shaking.
We've been bringing you live coverage of the strong earthquake with a magnitude of 6.7 that rocked the northern island of Hokkaido shortly after 3 a.m. on Thursday. And we have information that just about 15 minutes ago, another earthquake with a magnitude 5.4 rocked Hokkaido. Police say they've received multiple reports of injuries and they're investigating the extent of the damage. The Meteorological Agency estimates the first trembler's magnitude at 6.7, and the epicenter was 37 kilometers deep in the western part of the island. The agency says there is no threat of a tsunami. An expert at the agency said residents should be alert for major aftershocks for a week. In the town of Atsuma, a large number of houses at the foot of a long ridge were crushed by massive landslides, and roads were buckled and broken. And in the town of Abira near New Chitose Airport, a tremor with a seismic intensity of 6+ on Japan's seismic intensity scale of 0 to 7 was recorded. A woman was reportedly taken to a hospital after falling downstairs. And in Muroran City, a fire broke out at a factory of a major steelmaker. Now, the power company in Hokkaido says nearly 3 million buildings are without electricity. The central government has set up an emergency task force to respond to the situation. Japan's nuclear regulator says the Tomari nuclear plant on the island has shut down, but workers there are using emergency power generators, and the plant's nuclear fuel is safely under control. A rail operator in Hokkaido says it suspended all services, including those of Shinkansen bullet trains. It says it's not sure when services will resume. Now, NHK took aerial footage over the town of Atsuma, where the massive landslides occurred, destroying a large number of homes. We'll bring you our domestic broadcast with simultaneous interpretation.
So there has been landslide caused by this earthquake already, according to the Meteorological Agency press conference. And Azuma town of Hokkaido, this is seismic intensity 5-, but this is to the left of the Abira town that had the intensity of 6. So this is Azuma town, and there is a large-scale landslide that occurred in this town. The blue roof can be seen here, but the blue roof is surrounded by the trees, and this roof is slanted to the side, and on the fields, those trees are collapsed onto the fields, and from the wide angle, we can see the parts that are collapsed. To the left, we would hear from the photographer that is flying over this.
This is a live footage from the Atsuma town in Hokkaido. There are many landslides within this town. We see houses have been destroyed, crushed by the earth. I see many houses crushed down and destroyed by the fallen earth and suns. The section of these mountains have collapsed, destroying many houses. I see many similar disaster sites within Atsuma town in Hokkaido. This is a live footage from Atsuma town of Hokkaido, which is next to the east of Abira town, where the 6+ intensity was recorded. We see the many areas which have been destroyed by the landslides. We have Mr. Atsuma, Mr. Aoki of the Atsuma town office. Thank you for taking this interview. Have you heard of any detailed reports? There are many unpassable roads, and we cannot access many places. This is Yoshino area of Atsuma town. This is the area called Yoshino within Atsuma. What is the population, the size of the area? This is the area with about 30 people. And there are several populated areas nearby as well. Do you have approximate size of the population in this part of your town? I guess there are about 200 people living here and nearby. So this is the close to the prefecture line 235. Yes, this is the area alongside the prefecture road 235. Have you heard of any detailed reports further? No, not yet. And prefecture and the town officials are now on their way to the office. And we have reports of the cave downs or cave-ins of roads and the public roads. And there is a major bridge, and we have closed that bridge. I have Mr. Aoki of the Atsuma town of Hokkaido. Thank you very much.
Once again, a strong earthquake has rocked Japan's northern island of Hokkaido. That was shortly after 3 a.m. on Thursday. And another magnitude 5.4 quake was felt about 3 hours after that. And police say they've received multiple reports of injuries, and they're now investigating the extent of the damage. The meteorological agency estimates the initial trembler's epicenter was 37 kilometers deep in the western part of the island. And that was a magnitude 6.7 quake. The agency said there's no threat of tsunami. An expert at the agency said residents should be alert for major aftershocks for 1 week. In the town of Atsuma, a large number of houses at the foot of a long ridge were crushed by massive landslides, and roads were buckled and broken. In the town of Abira, just nearby and also close to New Chitose Airport, a tremor with a seismic intensity of 6+ on Japan's seismic intensity scale of 0 to 7 was recorded. A woman was reportedly taken to a hospital after falling downstairs. And in Muroran City, a fire broke out at a factory of a major steelmaker. The power company in Hokkaido says nearly 3 million buildings are without electricity. Many traffic lights had no power. The central government has set up an emergency task force to respond to the situation. The country's nuclear regulator says the Tomari nuclear plant on the island has shut down, but workers there are using emergency power generators, and the plant's nuclear fuel is safely under control. A rail operator in Hokkaido says it suspended all services, including those of Shinkansen bullet trains, and it says it's not sure when services will resume. And we'll switch back to our NHK domestic service to give you the latest with simultaneous interpretation.
中東部で震源の深さは37キロ、地震の規模を示すマグニチュードは The
focus of the earthquake was 37 kilometers deep. My shop was shaken very strongly, which is on the 6th floor. I was very scared. I felt a very strong jolt vertically. I think it lasted for 30 seconds.
この地震について気象庁の松森俊之地震津波監視課長は
Mr. Toshiyuki Matsumori of Japan Meteorological Agency had a press conference in an area which experienced strong jolts. There is an increasing risk of the falling objects and further landslides. Unless absolutely necessary, do stay away from dangerous areas. For a week after the occurrence of the earthquake, the the major earthquake, 6 intensity can occur within 2 or 3 days. A very equally strong earthquake can occur. And another earthquake occurred 6:32 this morning, a maximum intensity of 6 in Ishikari and Nambu, Ishikari and the Iburi area experienced the intensity 3, and it was the magnitude 3.9 earthquake. There is no danger of tsunami. This area has been hit by a series of earthquakes measuring intensity 3 and 4. 3:08 this morning, the 6 plus intensity earthquake hit Hokkaido area, and an extensive area of Hokkaido has been disturbed. And in terms of traffic, this is Abira town, taken just after 5 o'clock this morning. There are many buildings collapsed, or their walls destroyed. Some roofs have been fallen down. 3 people have been injured and taken to hospitals. I haven't experienced strong earthquakes like this, and everything has been in a mess. I felt a very strong jolt, and many things have fallen down within the house. The 5 plus earthquake hit Tomakomai, where 82-year-old man is in the cardiac arrest after falling downstairs, and the Shin-Chitose airport also experienced intensity 5, and Hakodate was hit by intensity 5 plus, and 2 elderly people have been injured. This is Atsuma town, which experienced an estimated 5 minus intensity earthquake. Many houses have been collapsed or swept away by landslides. The earthquakes and aftershocks continue in this part of Hokkaido, so please do stay away from the site of landslides or the dangerous hilly areas. In Atsuma town, there is a report of the people trapped underneath collapsed buildings, and Tomari nuclear power stations shut down 3 nuclear reactors, and outside power has been cut out. But this is an emergency press conference by Chief Cabinet Secretary Mr. Suga. This morning, 3:08 this morning, the Hokkaido Iburi area is hit by the earthquake, which measured 6 plus at the maximum. There is no risk of tsunami so far. In Atsuma town, more than 6 houses have been destroyed, and 4 landslides have been confirmed. In addition, the people's whereabouts and landslides have been reported in more than 800 cases and reportings. As to Tomari nuclear power stations, there has been no report of abnormality. And the Tomari nuclear power station, the outside power supply has been cut, but the reactors of these power stations had been suspended, and there has been all of the 3 nuclear reactors are in stable conditions and under control. And 3:09 this morning, the Prime Minister's office established an emergency task force, and the relevant ministries have formed a liaison committee formed by the Bureau directors. And self-defense forces had been on standby, and Hokkaido prefectural government asked the self-defense forces for the emergency support operations, and fire departments and police and Japan Coast Guards in Hokkaido, as well as the other parts of Japan, have been mobilized for search and rescue and other operations. And people living in areas which experienced strong earthquakes are encouraged to be on alert and to help each other. Thank you.
Any human-related damage so far reported? Human-related damage. No detailed information has been reported so far. The overall situation. By when do you think you can understand the overall situation? We established a task force 309 and started to work on this. And the task force has been collaborating with each other. But still, the overall damage is not understood in detailed level. But again, human-related damage, so far we are hearing there's no human-related damage caused following the earthquake. Blackout is taking place in wide area. As Chief Cabinet Secretary Mr. Suga mentioned, in Hokkaido, in whole Hokkaido, there are blackout taking place in 2.95 million households. The thermal power plant stations suspended operation and caused impact on the frequency. And now, in Hokkaido, they're starting to operate hydro power plants and resume thermal power plant. But they still don't know when they can resume the thermal power plant operation. Right now, 2.95 households are experiencing blackout. Because of this blackout, there are so many people who cannot get information from TV or radio. And if they have no access to information, they get worried more than they should. So if you have anyone, any acquaintance, family member, friends living in these areas, please contact them and share the information we're sharing right now. NHK will keep providing you detailed information. Please communicate these information to your acquaintances. And when you do so, ask them to communicate the information also to the elderly or disabled people living in their neighborhood. Now, from Sapporo Broadcasting Bureau, we're going to report I am in Sapporo studio. In 3:08 a.m., there was a huge earthquake taking place in Hokkaido. The epicenter was Abira. 6+ was observed in Abira. 5+ Sapporo, Tomakomai, Ebetsu, Mikasa, Eniwa, etc. Hospital and school-related information in Sapporo. According to Sapporo City, Sapporo Medical and Hospital and Nakamura Hospital, they are suspending to accept urgent patients because of the power outage. They're not accepting emergency patients. And Sapporo City also decided not to hold classes. 320 schools in the city, they are not going to hold classes today. 6- was observed in Chitose Airport. Walls were collapsing in the airport and water started to leak. And the departure lobby is now flooded. And inside a facility in the airport, one person got injured, though slightly. Prior to 4 a.m. in the facility inside the airport, people were guided to evacuate outside. Walls and are collapsing in some areas, and food court and some other areas are being flooded in this Shinchitose airport. The airport company is now confirming the level of the damage. According to Shinchitose Airport Company, there has been no damage on the runways, but they're going to close the building till they confirm the safety. So far, they do not know when they can start operating the airport again. According to risk countermeasure team, 82-year-old man fell inside his home, and he was confirmed to suffer from cardiopulmonary arrest. In Atsuma town, landslide collapsed 2 houses at least, and Sapporo East and West wards, some people are caught inside an elevator. Abira town, where seismic intensity was 6+. There's one report of a person transferred to a hospital after getting injured. Minami Sorachi Fire Department says as of 5:30 a.m., there were 3 calls made saying they are injured or being sick. 2 elderly got injured after an object falling on them, and another elderly were transferred to a hospital, but their conditions are not so crucial. And according to Muroran City, major steel manufacturer plant, the tube broken and started to set fire, but as of 5 a.m., the fire was almost eliminated. Tomarimura, there's Tomari power plant, 3 reactors. All of the 3 reactors had not been operating when the earthquake took place. And because of the blackout, no external power is sourced from external source, but they're using their emergency power supply system, and the fuel are safely being cooled, and there's no problem confirmed with important facilities, equipments they have. According to Hokkaido Electricity, there's blackout taking place in the area, and 2.95 households are still experiencing blackout. The electricity company still does not know when they can recover the situation, which means that so many people in the area are not being able to watch this TV program. If you have a friend or acquaintance living in the area, please share these information with them. And informations are also available on websites. Traffic-related information. According to JR Hokkaido, because of the blackout caused by the earthquake, all trains are not operating for the time being, including Hokkaido Shinkansen, the bullet train. And they still do not know when they can resume the operation. And according to the traffic agency in Hokkaido, all the subways have been cancelled for the time being to operate. The subways in Sapporo for the time being are all cancelled. They still do not know when they can resume the operation. And highways in Hokkaido, in wide areas, these highways are now cut. The police department in Hokkaido established a task force following the earthquake. According to police department in Hokkaido, many traffic signals are not operating because of the blackout. Be careful not to get involved with a traffic accident. Another major shake may hit Hokkaido. Please stay on alert. Safety always comes first. The footage is a live footage from Atsuma town, where they experienced a huge landslide.
As we've been reporting, a series of powerful earthquakes have rocked Japan's northern island of Hokkaido. The very first jolt was shortly after 3 a.m. on Thursday. Police say they've received multiple reports of injuries and strong aftershocks continue. The Japan Meteorological Agency estimates the trembler's magnitude at 6.7. The focus was 37 kilometers deep in the western part of the island. The agency said there is no threat of a tsunami. An expert at the agency said residents should be alert for major aftershocks for 1 week. Now, in the town of Atsuma, a large number of houses at the foot of a long ridge were crushed by massive landslides, and roads were buckled and broken. In the town of Abira, which is nearby and is also close to New Chitose Airport, a tremor of level 6+ on Japan's seismic intensity scale of 0 to 7 was recorded. A woman was reportedly taken to a hospital after falling downstairs. In Muroran City, a fire broke out at a factory of a major steelmaker. The power company in Hokkaido says all of the nearly 3 million buildings across the prefecture are without electricity. Evacuation shelters are being set up in Sapporo and other cities. The central government has set up an emergency task force to respond to the situation. Now, the country's nuclear regulator says the Tomari nuclear plant on the island lost its external power source, but workers there are using emergency power generators, and the plant's nuclear fuel is being cooled safely under control. The rail operator in Hokkaido says it suspended all services, including those of Shinkansen bullet trains. It says it's not sure when services will resume. A person was reportedly injured at New Chitose Airport. Walls there collapsed, and there's been a major water leak. Security officials led people who were staying in a lodging facility at the airport outside. The departure lobby has flooded as water is leaking from the ceiling. The operator of the airport says flights will operate normally after it confirms the runways are undamaged. Police have warned drivers to take care as traffic signals are not working due to the power outages. Now, NHK took aerial footage over the town of Atsuma, where massive landslides destroyed a large number of homes. We'll bring you our domestic broadcast with simultaneous interpretation.
So there has been landslide caused by this earthquake already, according to the Meteorological Agency press conference. And Azuma town of Hokkaido, this is seismic intensity 5-, but this is to the left of the Abira town that had the intensity of 6. So this is Azuma town, and there is a large-scale landslide that occurred in this town. The blue roof can be seen here, but the blue roof is surrounded by the trees, and this roof is slanted to the side, and on the fields, those trees are collapsed onto the fields, and from the wide angle, we can see the parts that are collapsed. To the left, we would hear from the photographer that is flying over this.
This is a live footage from the Atsuma town in Hokkaido. There are many landslides within this town. We see houses have been destroyed, crushed by the earth. I see many houses crushed down and destroyed by the fallen earth and suns. The section of these mountains have collapsed, destroying many houses. I see many similar disaster sites within Atsuma town in Hokkaido. This is a live footage from Atsuma town of Hokkaido, which is next to the east of Abira town, where the 6+ intensity was recorded. We see the many areas which have been destroyed by the landslides. We have Mr. Atsuma, Mr. Aoki of the Atsuma town office. Thank you for taking this interview. Have you heard of any detailed reports? There are many unpassable roads, and we cannot access many places. This is Yoshino area of Atsuma town. This is the area called Yoshino within Atsuma. What is the population, the size of the area? This is the area with about 30 people. And there are several populated areas nearby as well. Do you have approximate size of the population in this part of your town? I guess there are about 200 people living here and nearby. So this is the close to the prefecture line 235. Yes, this is the area alongside the prefecture road 235. Have you heard of any detailed reports further? No, not yet. And prefecture and the town officials are now on their way to the office. And we have reports of the cave downs or cave-ins of roads and the public roads. And there is a major bridge, and we have closed that bridge. I have Mr. Aoki of the Atsuma town of Hokkaido. Thank you very much.
And it's now just past 7 a.m. here in Japan, about 4 hours since the initial tremor occurred. Here's our live domestic broadcast once again for the latest situation, brought to you with simultaneous interpretation.
So everywhere we see landslides occurring. The earth that has fallen collapsed those buildings. There are several instances of such houses being collapsed by the earth, and the road has been stopped because of those earth, and there are cracks in the roads that makes it not possible for the traffic, and there are many housings that has collapsed. We see a helicopter here, and this is by the police of Hokkaido. They are rescuing those residents that are trapped. The landslides had occurred in wide area. This is from Atsuma town in Hokkaido. Very large-scale landslide occurred in Atsuma town. The trees have fallen and earth had fallen here, and the buildings had collapsed, very badly damaged. About an hour ago, the police and fire fighters had come to rescue those people who are trapped inside. About 20 minutes ago, the heavy machinery had been introduced to take away the earth. According to the residents, there were an elderly couple, about 80 years old, living in this house. This was from Azuma Town, a live coverage. We would report to you about the new Chitose Airport. Yes, I'm now at New Chitose Airport, the departure lobby on the second floor of the building. The lobby has been flooded, and the shelves, some part of the shelves have fallen. In several cases, there are objects falling from the shelves of this gift shop. The employees are now clearing up this gift shop, and the water is leaking from the ceiling, so that the floor is covered for this water leak from the ceiling. The employees from other shops are also busy cleaning up. This was reporting from the new Chitose Airport. So the report was not easy to be heard because of the announcement made at the airport. Next, we would report to you from Sapporo City. This is Kyoto ward of Sapporo City. This is a residential area. As you can see, the road is very badly damaged, and you can see this circular object that is probably a manhole that has risen from the ground. And to the left of this, in the middle part, a house is leaning to the side. There are many houses that are leaning to the side like this, slanting here. So those residents have evacuated from their houses. This was a live coverage from Kyoto ward of Sapporo City. JR Sapporo Station. At JR Sapporo Station, because of the effects of the earthquake, all the trains have stopped, and we don't know when the service would be resumed. And because of the blackout, we cannot have the ticket sales. I came here about 5:30, but many customers were here and waiting for the train service to resume, and they are asking when they can have the train service back up. And about an hour ago, there was an aftershock, and the board has shaken here, so people are in anxiety. A male person who is going back to Kitami, he doesn't know how to get back because no train service or bus service is running. As we have reported to you, there are 2,950,000 houses that have no power.
And JR services have stopped, so many lifelines and transport services are halted. So the entire damage has not been understood fully. So we would like to recap this earthquake. So the meteorological agency said the tremor of magnitude of 6.7 was recorded in Iburi town of Hokkaido. And the agency says people should be on alert, and if you are near the focus and those areas do not have the update of the earthquake, there may be some aftershocks. This is the footage from Tomakomai, Hokkaido at the timing of the earthquake shock. The tremor had been continuing, and then the power outage had happened. And you can see some flashes. These are the intensity of this earthquake. Abiracho, 6+, Chitose, and 5+, Sapporo, Tomakomai, Ebetsu, Mikasa, Eniwa, Naganuma, Shinhidaka town, and 5- recorded in Hakodate, Muroran, Iwazamizawa, Noboribetsu, Date, and also in Kita, Hiroshima, Ishikari, Shinshinotsu, Namporo, Yuni, Kuriyama, Shiraoi, and so on. And there are some areas that may have been recording the tremor of 6+, but we do not know the detail. Azuma-cho, Mitawa-cho, Hidaka-cho, Miratori-cho, Nikapu-cho are those who are believed to have recorded the tremor of 6+. It is near Azuma-cho, and it's very near the focus center of the earthquake. There's a seismic recording device, but we do not have the latest data. And tremor of 4+ was recorded in many areas in Hokkaido, and the intensity of 1, 2, 3 was recorded in Kanto and other areas. The focus is at Chuto area of Ibuki town, and the focus was 37 kilometers underground, and the magnitude was at 6.7. This resident says that there was a very strong shock, and it continued for about 1 minute or more. And he was at the 6th floor, and he was very scared. This man says that it was